In this video, we'll show some new capabilities in Plant Pilot's Export to Excel features. To do that, I'm going to create a parts list. So I'm going to navigate to a folder that lists my pipelines, and I'm going to create a parts list just for one pipeline here. And Plant Pilot for a long time has had the feature to export these items to Microsoft Excel. In previous versions, that was a simple creation of a new Excel file with the list of parts in it. You had no capabilities for controlling the format of that Excel file by using a template. So now we've added some features to this capability. So when I select Export Items to Excel, now Plant Pilot will ask you, first of all, do you want to export data or do you want to export the structure? So you can use the Export Structure option here to create a template from this particular parts list. So I'm going to say OK here. And what Plant Pilot will do is open Excel and add to Excel what's known as an XML map. So the data that's included in that parts list is now added as an XML source into this Excel file that you're creating. And as you can see, it also created a table here in Microsoft Excel to hold the information in this parts list. So at this point, if I wanted to, I could take this table and place it anywhere in the Excel file that I want it to be. I could add my own, heading information in here. I could change colors. I could choose to exclude some of these columns if I wanted to. As long as I retain this XML map in here and a table to show that information, then Plant Pilot will know how to populate that table with the information from the parts list. So if I save this file now, I would have a template that I can use to do my future exports with this parts list. So I'm going to save this, and I'm going to actually save this as a macro enabled workbook, and we'll save that. And then if I close this, now if I come back to Plant Pilot and to that parts list, at any time in the future when I want to use that template, when I choose the export, I can say now I'm exporting the data, and I can either export the one selected row or all rows. And I can select this checkbox to say I want to use an Excel template. And now I can go to the template that I just created. So that was this one. And you'll notice that it knows that there is a XML map. You always have to have an XML map in there to do this export. And now if I export this, you'll see indeed the table is located where we positioned it previously. So I first created the template by exporting the structure of the parts list to Excel, and then the next time I exported using that template and exporting data. Now if I choose not to use the template, then I will get an export that's exactly like the previous versions of Plant Pilot, where it just simply lists the parts list data into a Excel spreadsheet, but I won't do that right now. Now if we take another look at the report that Plant Pilot generated by exporting the data to Excel, and if we look at this dry installed weight column, you can see that sure enough Plant Pilot exported the data from the parts list, but it exports the data exactly as it appears in Smart Plant Review. So you can see that the values here are actually text values because they have the units of measure included, kilograms in this example. So, if I wanted to sum this column, it would be difficult to do that because these are not numeric values. So there's another new feature in the export command that allows you to add a macro to your template. And I'll demonstrate this by opening another template that I have created, and you'll notice that if I go to Visual Basic, there is a module or a macro subroutine basically that I've added to this template file, and it's named Post Plant Pilot Export. So when Plant Pilot exports the data using your template, if it will check your template to see if you have a macro called Post Plant Pilot Export, and if you do, it will execute that macro after it exports the data. So I won't get into the details of this code, but basically what this particular example does is strips out the units of measure from the weight column, converts those values to numeric data, and then does a total of those values. So I can demonstrate that by going back to my export or my parts list and choosing the export, and this time I'll choose the template that I created that includes that macro. So as I said, Plant Pilot will always check to see if that macro exists, and it will execute it if it exists. So now when I do my export, you'll see that this data in the weight column has now been converted to numbers. The kilograms has been stripped off, and also there's a total at the bottom. So simply by creating the proper macro in the template file, and obviously you can do many things with macros in Excel. So this opens up a real entire world of possibilities for what you might want to do with the data once Plant Pilot exports it to this spreadsheet. But in our case, as you can see, it simply converted this to numeric data and gave us a sum at the end. Now, one final thing. We're working with the parts list here. The same capabilities apply to the Excel export from a plant items folder. So in this case, I have a folder that lists all my pipelines. And when I do the export, you can see that I get the exact same form or dialog box. Now, this is an important point. This particular template that we just created was created, the XML map was created from that parts list. So because this particular export has a different data structure, if I tried to export here, this would produce an error, because the data that you're exporting from Plant Pilot does need to map the match the XML mapping in the Excel template. So in this case, I would really need to select a new template. I think I've got a template here in my temp folder for maybe pipelines. Yep, and so you can see in this case I'm going to get a different export. So the new features for exporting to Excel apply both to a plant items folder and to a parts list. So those are the new features for exporting part data and plant item data to Excel. Hopefully this will allow you to really enhance your process of exporting data from Plant Pilot. Thanks for watching.